After one last day to prepare, Colorado headed out to Eugene to take on, I think, the 13th ranked Oregon Ducks. Where would you have them on your poll?
They were right around there. I don't remember exactly. I think they were 12 or 13. I have them right in line where the AP is. I mean, they're have to have them behind Auburn, of course, at this point. But certainly, Oregon, I think, is a top 15 team. I think that they proved themselves, even in that Auburn loss, that they're a pretty good team. But I still think that they've got a shot if they can run the table of maybe making a push for the CFP. But we'll see.
The thing, though, is, Brian, whenever we think we've figured out a Pac-12 team, then they go out and lose the next week. It seems
exactly
like
right.
Clockwork. Certainly, we'll get into our predictions later. I can't do that here, but I mean, this conference is had some wacky results so far this season.
It really has. I mean, I thought Washington was finally got it figured out and rolling, and I was stunned that they go down to Stanford and with Stanford's third-string quarterback and lose that game and play the way they did. I mean, I have no idea. You think, okay, maybe UCLA's got it figured out after that game at Washington State, and they're dreadful. I mean, they're just awful. And once we say that, they're going to go out and beat somebody, this next week. But this Pac-12 right now, everybody is down on it because there's not a great team. I think it's a good conference. I think there's a lot of good teams. There's just not an elite team right now. But I think it's a lot of fun. It just makes it very unpredictable week in and week out.
Mario Cristobal is in his second full season as Oregon's head coach. It looks like he's doing a good job of building things there. They had the number one ranked recruiting class in the country last recruiting cycle. Yeah. They were second in the Pac-12 the year before that, and then third in the recruiting rankings the year before that. So 3 years. So that tells you there's a lot of talent on the field, on the roster there. Not quite sure they're quite at that elite level, but this is not necessarily the typical Oregon teams. They have a really good offensive line. They're playing really good defense. So a little bit, and they do have pretty good skill players, but they spread the ball around. There's not one skill guy that really demands a lot of the carries.
Yeah, I'm a stat guy, you know that. So the last 4 games, they've held their opponents under 10 points. Previous 7 years, they had done it 4 times total. And this is the first time they've done it four games in a row since 1960. So they're playing good defense. And I know not all those opponents have been great opponents, but I don't really care who it is. That's playing really good defense if you're holding 4 straight opponents below 10 points. This is a different Oregon team. You're right. I mean, we heard kind of stories about when Jim Leavitt went down there, he said, well, I guess they kind of forgot about how to recruit defense down there. He kind of turned the tide a little bit over there.
A little bit,
but they've taken it to another level now, and their defense is now a priority over there. And defense and running the football. I mean, those are kind of. That's what Mel Tucker wants to do. That's kind of that SEC mentality that Mario Cristobal is bringing there, that Mel Tucker wants to bring here. So we're seeing it come to fruition in Oregon, and they also have the players to do it.
Justin Herbert ranks 12th nationally in quarterback rating, 15 touchdowns, just 1 interception this year. Mm-hmm. Obviously, he's aided a lot by that offensive line, but he's a top-level quarterback in his own regard.
Yeah, he really is. And I think his first career start was like a game or 2 after the last time CU went out there. So we had the Buffs have not seen him yet, but he's a very talented quarterback. I mean, I think had he left after this last year, he probably would have been a top 5, top 10 pick. I imagine he'll be a top 10 pick this next year. He's pretty good.
What stood out to you as you've looked at Oregon's defense and have watched them play this year? They've got good linebacker. Steven Montez said at the press luncheon, they don't need to get all that creative with their blitz packages because they are so stout and good up front.
They're very stout up front, and I mean they're going to get after them. This offensive line for CU's got a challenge in front of them, and there's already been 3 games this year that CU is not allowed a sack. That's the same number as the last 2 years combined. But this is going to be a tough challenge. I mean, this Oregon team is going to get after them, and Steven's going to have to be on point and kind of be wary of that rush. But that's probably the biggest thing that stood out. They're an aggressive defense, and they got good players at all 3 levels.
And Javon Holland, 3 interceptions on the back end of senior safety. That's done well for them this year. Looking at Colorado, we are speculating with the injuries. We assume there's going to be quite a few of these injured guys that are going to be back in the mix. It gives you a little bit of hope that they can maybe compete. If the majority of the guys that are hurt right now don't come back in, it could get ugly out in Eugene, one of the tougher places to play in the Pac-12.
Yeah, I agree with you, but it does sound like people are optimistic around here that most of those guys will be back. We kind of talked about it yesterday that what does most mean? I mean,
Yeah.
who are the ones that won't be back, and those are things we probably won't know until Friday night. But obviously, the big question marks are Laviska Shenault, Mustafa Johnson, Mikhail Onu, guys like that. We may not know until Friday night, but you're right. If you can get 6 or 7 of those guys back instead of having all 10 or whatever out, then that's going to be a good thing.
Even Aaron Maddox, we're not quite sure when he's going to come back, but it sounds like his recovery's coming along pretty well from that. That'd be a huge guy to get back there. Prediction time. They're, I think, 3 touchdown underdogs, so
Yeah.
it makes sense why people aren't giving Colorado a shot going out there. What do you think? Do they play closer than that spread?
Yeah, I think it's a little closer than that, but not much. I mean, I think Oregon is just at a different level right now, and because of what we talked about initially with the Pac-12, who knows?
Right.
But one thing, Friday night on the road in these Pac-12 games, the road team has not done very well, and so that's a tough task. I mean, it's a short week, and you've got to go out to Eugene. I think that's a tough task. I've got the Buffs losing this one 38-21, which the 21, Oregon's allowed 22 the last 4 games combined, so 21 is actually pretty good. I think CU can move the ball and put some points on the board. I just think their offense is talented enough to do that even against a good Oregon defense. But I just think this Oregon offense, with the injuries CU's got on defense, even if guys come back, I just think Justin Herbert's going to have a good day.
Obviously difficult to make a prediction in this game, not knowing exactly who's going to play for Colorado.
Right.
I'm going with the assumption they're going to get most of the injured guys back. And, yeah, Oregon's defense has been playing lights out recently, but, the quality of offenses they've been facing, they haven't been facing offensive juggernauts here the last 4 weeks.
Right.
So I can see Colorado having more success than the last 4 opponents have against Oregon. But, yeah, sticking with the shootout theme, because, again, even with some guys back, Colorado's defense is still had its issues, and so I see Oregon winning this game 41-28.
Yeah.
But this is probably the toughest game on the entire schedule for the whole season, especially given the short week. And I know Oregon has a short week too, but Colorado has to travel on that short week.
Yeah, I agree. It's probably the toughest game on the schedule. I think Oregon is probably the best team in the Pac-12 right now, and at Utah later this year is going to be tough. There's other tough games, obviously. The next 3 weeks are kind of brutal historically for CU. They've never really done well down in Pullman. I know you saw a win out there one year, but that's rare. Obviously, they've never beat USC. So we're looking at a tough 3-game stretch for the Buffs, and it starts here. But you'd like to see them go out and play well. I didn't think they would win in 2016 either, with some young quarterback coming off the bench named Steven Montez. But he looked pretty good that day, and that they were able to win that game. So the way the Pac-12 goes, and the players CU has, and the fact that we've seen already Mel Tucker's teams, they're going to beat teams that they shouldn't. They're going to lose to teams they shouldn't as well. But I don't count them out. I don't say they can't win this game. I just think Oregon's a better football team.
All right, it's going to be a late night for CU fans, 8 p.m. Mountain kickoff on national TV.